This is what we think we need to do before we get to Talladega. No, guess what? We're going to get just holes poked in this whole scenario because we're going to wreck 28 cars.
28.
We're going to wreck 28 cars.
NASCAR has made some big changes to the Charlotte Roval for the playoff round of 12 elimination race, which will likely result in more passing opportunities as well as the possibility of more chaos. This is going to be fun, but will the drivers enjoy it? Let's have a look at those changes. This weekend, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe enter below the cut line, while Chase Elliott is on the playoff bubble, as NASCAR returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for another round of 12 elimination race on its infield road course. And if the playoff heat wasn't enough of a challenge, the series added another one for drivers, a slightly different look at the Roval. At first glance, the arrangement appears similar. Drivers will use the same path for the first half of the lap, but things change after turn 5. Instead of turning right, the straightaway has been extended to a new turn 6. This segment features some elevation change, which causes drivers to lose sight of some of the cars in front of them until they reach the summit of the hill. Drivers will have to slow down for turn 6, but not enough to make passing a viable option. However, this changes abruptly when you hit the exceedingly tight left-hander at turn 7. It's essentially a 180-degree turn in which cars totally reverse direction on the banked oval. When desperation strikes on late race restarts, this may become a disaster corner, with aggressive drive bombs up the inside. We saw something similar at Coda's tight turn 1, which is not even in the playoffs. The last chicane has also been changed, resulting in a steeper apex for cars to handle at turn 16. Suarez is one of the drivers starting this race in the red, and he spent a lot of time in the simulator getting ready for the modifications. "This Roval race is going to be different for sure," he remarked in the weekly team update. "I think the changes to the track will create passing zones. Right now, our work is in the virtual world. We're doing this on a simulator. Nobody has been running laps in real life, so we are going to find out what these changes mean on Saturday." His colleague Ross Chastain, who won pole position in the last road course race at Watkins Glen, voiced worry about how the elevation changes could affect vision. "From the pictures I've seen, it's definitely changed," he said. "There's some elevation change and it is blind. You can see a car, I believe, but the track falls away steep enough that you can't really see it. It gives me a little bit of anxiety because I can't see the road in front of me. I'll wait to see how it looks in real life, but mentally, I'm preparing to not be able to see the track in front of me." Kyle Larson, who also practiced in the simulator this week, believes there will be equal possibilities for passing and pandemonium on Sunday. "The changes to the track create another passing zone, but could also create chaos if drivers make late moves there." His Hendrick colleague Elliott on the bubble is treating it as if it were a brand new racing circuit. "That section, turns 5, 7 of the track is going to change the entire flow of the lap there, so I've been kind of approaching it as a new track with my preparation," said Elliott. "I've spent some time in the simulator, just trying to really memorize the track and where the little bumps are. Typically those track scans are pretty good. I think that's probably one of the best things about the simulator is that a driver can go and get familiar with the track layout, surface content, roughness, so on and so forth. It's really about all I feel like I can do until we get some time on track." Noah Gragson, speaking about the front stretch chicane, says it will influence the way cars approach the final turn. "We're going to have to find different braking markers into there and see if we can push it more or less. I'm assuming you're going to have to slow down more with them bringing that curve out." Carson Hocevar finished third at Watkins Glen, his career best. He sees the adjustments as a benefit for drivers with less track experience, such as himself. "The reconfiguration and layout change has taken a little bit away from the guys who have experience there," stated the Cup's top rookie. "It allows us to approach it with an open mind and no preconceived notion on how the track should be. On the flip side, the guys who have run there before have a couple major areas of the track in which they have to change their approach. Hopefully it takes them a little bit to forget the old and figure out the new while I am catching up on the other areas of the track." Ryan Blaney is 25 points above the cut line, which puts him in a rather comfortable position. He also won the inaugural race at the Charlotte Roval, where the leaders collided just short of the finish line. The defending Cup winner sees plenty of possibilities to pass into turn 7 and the last chicane. "I think you opened up a passing zone in 7, Blaney said. "It's going to be kind of a dive bomb central corner for sure, just the way it's shaped, so that will be interesting to see how it races. You're going to have to drive that corner very differently if you have pressure or not behind you, and honestly, I think the front stretch chicane is going to be a slower corner. so I feel like you might have some more outbreaking potential there. I think it's good they changed it up. Whenever you add passing zones, that's good for a race. It's the same for everybody. It's going to be different for everyone and just who can adapt to it the quickest. His Penske teammate Austin Cindric is in a tight situation after getting crashed from the lead at Talladega. He will probably have to go for the victory in the Roval. Regarding the front stretch chicane, he says the changes are taking away your runoff and the ability to have a mistake and maybe kind of just cut the curb. I think the curb strikes are going to be a lot more aggressive with the car, believe it or not. They're already pretty aggressive, but I don't think how usable the curb is going to be taken away because you're essentially making the curb even more perpendicular to the track than it already is. The approach angle is going to be a lot different. The NASCAR drivers will only have Saturday to prepare for the Charlotte Roval, and Kevin Harvick predicted which playoff contenders are in risk of being eliminated. On Kevin Harvick's happy hour, Harvick discussed if the 4 drivers below the playoff cut line, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe, can have a successful Sunday and progress to the round of 8. The hardest part about those, the gap's 13 points. And I think the hardest part for Joey Logano, looking just on the other side of the fence, is it's Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick, Harvick said. Typically in the past, those 2 guys are going to be pretty good at the road courses. Joey has done a good job, Suarez has done a good job, Austin Cindric. They all had their moments at road courses. But that whole group, everybody up there is just going to be decent at what they do. It's going to take somebody making a mistake or somebody completely missing the setup.
And every point matters. So the teams have a legit gripe in this situation of how the wreck is handled. It can't just be haphazardly handled.
Harvick went on to suggest that Reddick and Elliott, who are 7th and 8th in the playoff rankings, are anticipated to do well on a road circuit like the Charlotte Roval. Reddick hasn't been as explosive since his team, 23F11 Racing, sued NASCAR. The top 8 playoff drivers are William Byron, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Reddick, and Elliott. Harvick feels the top 8 will progress to the next round of the playoffs unless something disastrous occurs. Harvick said that Byron, Bell, and Larson don't need to accomplish much in the upcoming race since they have a comfortable points lead. The NASCAR Hall of Fame also lauded Bell's playoff performance. This guy gets skipped over all the time in the things that we talk about, Harvick said. Here we are, he's plus 57, he's going to go to the next round. But you look back at that wreck last week, did you see him get spit out of the middle of that wreck? He was the only car that came out of the pile of cars straight. Bell has been good there. What do you think? Is Harvick right here? Will the current top 8 go through? Even when the track has this many changes? When the drivers are basically driving a new track? I still think we might see some upsets, but the top 6 with plus 25 and above are pretty safe if you ask me. So, who's going out on Sunday? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.